The blackest eyes, the devil's eyes. Why don't we just wait here for a little while, see what happens?
Do you want to die, Sidney?
For England, James? No.
We all go a little mad sometimes.
Fill your hand, you son of a bitch!
Look what you did to him!
I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass. And I'm all out of bubblegum.
As you can see, I'm not happy.
All right, what is up, everybody? Welcome back to the M3 podcast. I am Brandon, and alongside me always is Andrew.
Oh yeah!
And it's been a hot minute. We finally got a chance to get back at it.
Yeah, we've been gone for a while, but got our schedules to finally align, and here we are, ready to talk about better days.
Yes, absolutely. We are still without Kenny, of course. Which we should be recording hopefully again soon, and he will be back. We just finally got a chance for me and you to have a day to where we could do something. So when it's me and you, and I'm sure Kenny will want to join in at some point whenever he gets a chance. But when it's me and you, we'll be doing a lot of wrestling stuff. So, and we've done WrestleMania so far. We've done some Bash at the Beach 2000 this last go round. And today, we're going to be talking Backlash 2000, WWF Backlash 2000, some of the better moments of the that year. And I kind of think it's a forgotten year. I was just thinking about this earlier. I remember a lot, but I don't remember a lot from that year.
Yeah, I think to me,
we think
2000 to me is, as a viewer, anyways, it's a lot better than 99. To me, there was so much hit or miss stuff in 99, and to me, this is the year they got it right. Yeah. And they were starting to overshadow WCW anyway, but this is the year they took everything over.
Really took it. Yeah. WCW really fell off the wagon really bad this year, so it didn't take much, and that's saying something because the first half of the year, you're without Undertaker, and you're without Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Yeah.
Both injured, one neck injury, one a neck surgery. I can't remember what happened with Taker now. It's groin injury. And of course, this was the transition year between the Ministry Undertaker and the American Badass Undertaker, who came back at Judgment Day 2000, which we'll have to do sometime because that was another big moment in that year. There was definitely some big moments. We start to see some of those WCW talents jump ship, like the Radicals, which we'll talk about here in just a little bit. They all appeared on this card actually for Backlash 2000, and no Undertaker, no Kane, a few others left off. Stone Cold Steve Austin, like I said, was injured, but is billed for the show. Before we get into Backlash 2000, though, real quick, I kind of want to gloss over Backlash 2023 a little bit. It just happened a few weeks ago. Like I said, we've been without recording because of the time, but I did want to just kind of touch on that a little bit since it is more current. And I know we don't want to talk about current stuff as much because we're not as much of a fan of the current stuff. But there is a couple things on this card, mainly one match that, it's an ongoing thing. The road to Cody Rhodes' first championship for the WWE. And I kind of want to follow that. I think you kind of do too.
Yeah.
They've made it interesting enough for me to want to see what and when, how this happens. So we hit a roadblock in the WrestleMania with Roman getting the surprise victory over Cody. He gets a roadblock the next night by Brock Lesnar turning heel and attacking him.
That's brutal.
And they end up fighting on this. Yeah, pretty brutal. End up fighting on this Backlash show from Puerto Rico, as Michael Cole would say, because you can't just say Puerto Rico like a normal white guy. So just want to touch on this real quick, and I know we both have a little bit of thoughts on this. So good overall, okay show, I think. Yeah. In some aspects, actually a little bit better than Mania, I thought.
I thought it upstaged Mania.
Yeah, I think mostly upstaged Mania, which coincidentally, so did Backlash 2000. It upstaged WrestleMania 2000 big time, I thought. But I think we'll start with just this night one, or we'll start with match one. Sorry, Bianca Belair versus Io Sky. I'm not rating it. We're not rating this one. I didn't ask you to. Just want because we've got a lot more to discuss with Backlash 2000. But what did you think of this, or how do you remember kind of this a little bit and how you felt about it?
It was exciting, but there were way too many finisher kickouts for me. I'm old school. You're old school.
Right.
I figure you're probably going to say the same thing, but it was just. I know it's wrestling and kayfabe's dead, but it's too unbelievable for me.
Yeah, I agree. Bianca gets the win, retains the Raw Women's title by pinfall. Decent spots. The crowd was super hot this entire show. I know a lot of people want Backlash to be in Puerto Rico from here on out. I think that's kind of dumb. I understand why, because it's such a hot crowd. I think they need to go back to Puerto Rico more if you're going to have that kind of crowd. They really dig the wrestling down there. Like they're in it. A lot of them still believe it is what it is, right? It's a big part of their culture, which I appreciate. I appreciate that they were so hot for this show. Lots of cheers. Maybe they were just excited for everybody. And it's kind of hard to judge, but there was a lot of cheers for Damage Control, a lot of cheers for Io Sky.
Yeah. Was this the match where drew spot back and forth and they were booing the heck out of Bianca Belair? Am I remembering that right?
I don't know.
I'm pretty sure
remember that part.
I'm pretty sure they had the forearm spot back and forth and they were booing Bianca.
Oh, yes, yeah, they were.
Bad.
Yeah, they were. Yeah. I think it's been over a year now. She's hit the record, and I which is great for her. She's great and athletic, but I think it's time to take it off. I was a little bit mad about Asuka not winning it, and maybe this was the crowd's way of saying, "Hey, she's great. There's a pop at the end for her winning, but let's try something different for a little bit." Yeah, next. So that just kind of solidifies it for me. But it is Puerto Rico, and they are hot, so who knows? Nothing really special outside of that. Like I said, Damage Control gets involved. Amima Bailey went around after that for a little while because she wasn't wearing anything under those pants with the split down the sides. So that got a lot of thirsty dudes' attention online. Oh yeah, I've seen all kinds of pages and stuff. They're just, oh man. Yeah, and I gotta say too, I haven't watched the show, but I just heard that they had a tag match, I guess, the other night on Raw, and Dakota Kai just got injured, blew her knee, so she's going to be out for months, maybe a year, because I guess she did it in a spot supposedly that was protecting Liv Morgan, who was suffering from a shoulder injury, and in order to protect her, she blew her knee. So let's blow your knee for someone who sucks. I'm sorry, she sucks. She's just another one of the really little girls that everybody's thirsty for, but she just sucks, man. I might get attacked for that. I don't care. Seth Rollins defeats Omos. She's not, dude. She's not. It's like it's kind of like the who was the more recent one that people love? Oh, Alexa Bliss.
Yeah,
cute,
not believable.
Decent for her size. but not believable. It's just not. It's just one of those things, man. Like I never got behind AJ Lee either. It's just hard to get behind some of those girls. More power to them for trying. Just they're really tiny, and when now you're in a world of Charlottes and Rhea Ripley's and Raquel Gonzalez's or whatever, it's not like believable. It's hard enough for me, as much as I love Ray, to see him go up against an Undertaker or a Big Show and like, oh yeah, he's going to overcome this definitely. Anyway, Seth Rollins defeats Omos by pinfall. Really mediocre match. I don't know. I have the same thoughts on Omos as I have always have, and how I have against most big guys now. I just think they're an okay part of the show, but they're usually nothing. Like they're just not going to last.
You need to let him get some wins over some people, because he's just there to get your stars over at this point.
Yeah, and has he even really established himself as anything worth a damn? If you're going to beat him just like that, I mean, there's nothing special about him, to be honest, other than he's just really big. There's a lot of really big guys out there that's been in the business that he might be a little bit better than like a giant Gonzalez. That's not saying much. Yeah. But he's just a run-in-the-mill big guy that you're not going to utilize well in a year. And even if you did, you'll never have the drawing power or the staying power of somebody like an Andre, who, quite frankly, had some pretty bad matches, especially towards the end, too.
On the flip side
I'm just not a big fan of really big guys.
On the flip side of that, we're going to talk about Backlash 2000, and there's a really big guy who was put over most impressively on that show. So, that's how you get a guy over. I hate it was at the expense of who it was, but we'll talk about that later.
It is in a goofy way. Yeah. So next up is Austin Theory defeating Lashley and Bronson Reed via pinfall, retains the U.S. title. Just another match. No love for Lashley, and it was there. And I don't dislike Theory. I think Bronson Reed he does some pretty athletic stuff for his size. He shouldn't, but he does, and I think that's going to be costly down the road for him. But I don't see him lasting either. He's just another big guy he's going to be too big to really make it too long. I know that might sound bad to some people, but it's prove me wrong, right? Show me anybody who's been that size.
He reminds me of Vader in a way, big old barrel-chested guy, and he could really go, but in a few years, you just expect him to break down at that size going at the rate he goes.
Right. Yeah, you can't, there's no other, the only other person I think that's been that heavy and that size that's been that good, Bam Bam? And I'm a Vader fan to a point, and I like Vader, but Bam Bam is kind of it. He's the only exception to that. Rhea Ripley defeats Zelina Vega via pinfall, retains SmackDown Women's title. The way it should have happened. Rhea should run away with this thing for quite a while. I'm really high on Rhea. She's my favorite, hands down, right now on the women's side of things. Absolutely love her to death. Zelina, she's there because of Puerto Rico. She got her moment. It was nice. She was crying. I don't care, but that sounds cold. I know, but it was
right
just
thing
there
happened
because it was the home crowd. The right thing happened.
There was a lot of crowd pandering, and I was okay with it for her to have her moment, because that's probably going to be the apex of her career. When you look back, but I was happy for her, and I was glad it was short.
You got your moment.
Not every match needs to be like 50-50 booking like they do nowadays. Every now and again you need just kind of a...
No.
That wasn't exactly a squash, but, Rhea came out looking super powerful in that one. So I thought they booked it...
Right, and that's perfect. How it should be.
Yeah.
Yeah. I agree. Next up, Bad Bunny beats Damian Priest in a San Juan street fight. So this is your Puerto Rico street fight. This is kind of what they do, what they love. That's great. I'm not I'm not totally against street fights and hardcore matches and stuff. I loved them when I was a kid. Not as much anymore. I recognize them for the mess that they are. Some of them are fun still. Some of them most of them are really hard to watch, especially in other promotions. And not because they're grotesque. It's because they're just cringe bad. They're just too much of a mess. They don't tell a really good story. And this here is where I'm kind of on the fence about the whole Bad Bunny thing. And I don't know if I've talked about that on the podcast or not. I know I've told you this before. But it's really, really good for business to have Bad Bunny in there. Even though no one else in the world, at least not in America, really cares that much about Bad Bunny outside of maybe some of the coastal states. And I'm sorry, but no one else gives that much of a damn.
We're from the Midwest. I'd never heard of
the Midwest.
Yeah.
No one here cares about Bad Bunny. It's great that he's successful. It's great that he's big with his home crowd and some of the ones on. Like I said, he's a big superstar all around the world. That's crazy to me. That's fine. It's good for business in a way that he brings a lot of attention to the normies. It's really good for business that he's in Puerto Rico, his home, basically, hosting and all this, a wrestling pay-per-view, something he loves. And I think he takes the business seriously enough. I think he loves the business. I will give him that. Where I'm on the fence is, I know how good it is for business, money-wise, for, direct drawing-wise. Is it really good for the art of wrestling, for the state of wrestling? I know that kayfabe is dead, but it still doesn't mean that I'm not going to fight to try and keep some remnants of kayfabe alive. And to have an 150-pound dude, maybe, come in, a rapper, a pop star, come in and be able to do what do what he does, is somewhat impressive that he's done this. But at the same time, it makes it look like anyone in the planet can do it.
Yeah, why should I be scared of Damian Priest, 140-pound rapper? Why should I take him seriously in the Judgment?
Yeah, exactly. Why is the Judgment Day even a thing now? Why do they matter? I know a lot of people are like, oh, it's just a show, get silly, just have fun with it. No, that's the reason why wrestling's been around. See, this is kind of where I take offense to it a little bit. I'm not going to go Jim Cornette on everybody, because I do like some more modern stuff than he did. But he does. But the reason why wrestling is still around today is not because of the last 15 years. The reason wrestling is around is because it's been the way it has been for the last 100. Or I should say the 80 years prior. It's an art. And I don't even like using that word art, I guess, because then I think of Kenny Omega, and he's a disgrace. But
you're sounding like Jim Cornette.
But I know, and I'm not trying to. But it's a mindset, you know what I mean? But you've got a. I'm not going to get too long-winded on this. I'm just going to say that it's not good. Okay, it's just not good. The wrestling was a way it was for so long by keeping kayfabe, by keeping people in that without knowing. It's keep that in the realm of, hey, this is real. This is real enough anyway for me, and I know it's been talked about for a long time, but it's real enough for me to get into it. It's believable. And maybe that's the kind of word I've been looking for. So it's believable. Attitude Era was very much the same way. It's both bad and good for business. It was amazing for business. And for the time, that some of the biggest stars in the business that ever graced the ring was around that time. It was big around that time. But it was also the death of kayfabe completely. And here we are today. And now they're on Twitter and everything else, just rubbing it in our noses that, hey, we're all buddies outside of the ring. And there's a certain aspect of that that's kind of annoying to me. I don't know. I'm not trying to sound like some dweeb that's like, oh yeah, you take this way too seriously, but it's where do you go from here? Where do we see ourselves in 20 years?
Yeah.
It's just because it's getting worse all the time. Anyway,
I think there was a different way you could have booked that. I think Damian Priest could have squeaked out a win, much like we're going to talk about in the next match. He's Puerto Rican too, and they still would have given Bad Bunny that standing ovation at the end of the show for the showing that he put up. And
right.
I don't think you put a 140-pound rapper over a guy who's 6'5", probably 240, 250. Yeah, who's done it for years and years.
At least 200.
Yeah. I don't like it. it's not kosher.
No.
I think you give Damian Priest the win there, and you can let him, like I said, you let him squeak one out, and I don't think you're not hurting Bad Bunny by doing that. You give him his bow at the end of the match.
You're not. I'm not. I ramble too much sometimes, but that's exactly right. I just don't. I don't know why, and even though I don't find it too acceptable at all, the V's even in a match. What you said is that's the bare minimum of what would have been acceptable, probably in my eyes. Is you find a way for him to lose still. You still can have the run-ins. You had the appearance by the Judgment Day. You had Savio Vega, which was a cool moment. Him getting involved, him appearing.
Carlito
Mysterio in the LWO. Carlito coming back was awesome. I love Carlito. That was great for the crowd. Just sports entertainment at its finest. And while that's not always all bad, in this case, I feel like it's not for the betterment of the business. It's, at least not for the show, the state of wrestling. Just, I don't know. Now I'm off my soapbox, I guess. I know people won't agree nowadays, probably, but anyway, the next up, since I've delayed getting to Backlash 2000 even more, Bloodline beats Sammy, Owens, and Riddle, and the Bloodline being the Usos and Solo, their brother. They get the pinfall. Solo gets the pinfall on Riddle after some back and forth between him and Jay that I thought was interesting. It's that you're furthering that Bloodline descent, the breakup of the Bloodline. Hopefully, probably eventually, with that, the trust of them weighing all the time. Interesting enough, Night of Champions is going to be Roman and Solo facing facing Sammy and Kevin for the tag team titles, because Roman doesn't trust the Usos to do the job, so him and Solo are going to take care of this now.
That's interesting.
Pretty interesting.
Yeah.
Okay,
so
match.
A lot of times during these pay-per-views, me and Brandon and Kenny are texting each other back and forth, and there was a point in this match about 3/4 of the way through where I texted him. I said, "This has been really good. There's been no Samoan super kick party, and no sooner than I said that,
yeah,
slapping the leg. Yep.
Dude, Jay, I don't know who's the worst. I think Jay might be the worst.
Yeah.
But just one after the other to everybody, it's like, man, what are we doing? Like this, and I will say it till I'm blue in the face. I'll say it every time I see it. It's garbage. You are running the move, and you're not. What you guys are a good tag team. I've seen really good things out of these guys, especially in the past, and now y'all are just phoning it in every night with super kicks. It's no different than the Young Bucks or any of them other tag teams now that are just absolute garbo. So
focus on
very frustrating to see. Yeah. And that's the thing. They do a lot of really shit filler, just like that. The entire match, move wise, it's just super kicks and garbage. And then it's the last 2 or 3 minutes of the match where they really tell their story. And when it gets to that point, they're not bad at it, but they can't work. They can't work a match before that to tell us to make it even mean more. I don't know.
I did like the end of the match. How they're standing there and Solo's like not happy about it. Even though they're victorious.
Yeah, he's kind of checking his chest. He's rubbing his chest a little bit because I think he did some kind of hard tag to him.
Yeah,
and Jay did to him and really made him mad.
I really like the end of, the outcome of what happened in that match. Well, the match was okay. I like where it ended up.
I agree with that. Last but not least, Cody bests Brock in a pinfall situation with it's a surprise pinfall actually during the Kimura lock. Brock got him in the Kimura, all but got him beat, and Cody uses momentum, basically almost headstands on Brock, pins his shoulders down, gets the surprise 1, 2, 3. I thought that was a really good finish. It seemed kind of abrupt, but after you really kind of soak it in, you're like, yeah, that was the right way to do it, to get at least one more match out of these guys. Yeah,
to continue telling the story, you can't have him beat Brock just clean. There has to be like a fluke.
Yeah,
and they did that perfectly. It was they did it, and I was like,
especially if you're doing the fighting babyface.
Yes.
Yeah.
From
especially doing
underneath.
that fighting underneath kind of. Yeah, and that's what Cody's going to have to. I mean, that's what everybody does with Brock. Now Cody came out swinging, which I loved. That was awesome. Before the bell could even ring, he was out on the floor tearing him up, trying his best. Then Brock basically manhandled him during the match. They did the turnbuckle spot, bust him wide open.
Mm-hmm.
I know Puerto Rico loves that. I love that.
It made the match,
you can tell,
like a whole star better just because of that. It was wild.
100%. Yeah, and that's how you use blood, and you do it correctly. And Brock, being the sweater he is, just gushed, and they didn't really clean it up. They just kind of, I think they patched him, but left the blood. I don't know what they done, but it was good visual. Seeing him, Cody kind of smearing the blood on him and looking at it was good. Really, really liked that whole thing. Everything so far, man, Cody's done since he's got there has been great, and I hope it continues for him.
Yeah. The only thing to me this show was missing was Gunther. You know how me and you like Gunther, so.
Yeah, no Gunther, but he will be on the next premium live event. I'm still gonna call it pay-per-view.
I hate it.
I don't care. I'm old. I hate it. So yeah, and just real quick on that, we've got that coming up this weekend at this time of the recording. So we will be probably at least talking about that very soon. The next time we record, even possibly. We got a Seth Rollins versus AJ Styles in the tournament final for the inaugural World Heavyweight Championship, which I do really like the belt, except for that big logo in the front. But it's cool that we're getting a new championship. I guess it's not the championship at this moment in time. Roman's got that, even though it looks terrible. Looks like what'd you say? It looks like a sports ring.
Yeah,
it's real basic.
Yeah.
The current
the Cody Rhodes consolation prize.
It's the WWE champ, the Universal champ, all that looks like a kid's toy.
Yeah.
Don't like it. Just I miss the old Eagle belts though. Like the Attitude belt and the one right before that.
Either one.
Winged Eagle. Either one. So we'll find out who the new World Heavyweight Champion is. I'm hoping AJ. Wouldn't doubt if it was Seth. But I'd love to see AJ, especially him and the OC, have one big, get brought to the forefront for a while. Maybe have one last big run before he retires, because I'm sure that's coming up soon.
If it's Seth, just speculation here, do you think Logan Paul gets a shot at the title?
If he does, and it is Seth, then he have to hold on to probably till SummerSlam. Yeah. That's what I feel like it would have to be. And you're 2 months away from that now, I guess, right?
3.
Three shows. Cody Rhodes and Brock Lesnar, another rematch. I expect Cody to go over on that unless there's some chicanery.
I'd say Brock gets his win back in that one.
You might get a best of 3 series here, so it's very possible Brock wins. I think. Man, this is a tricky one. The Bloodline versus Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. Since Roman's doing the deed in Solo, do you think they beat Owens and Zayn, or do you think we further the breakup storyline? I'm
actually not sure what to expect in that.
The Usos screw them. I'm not either. The Usos could help Sami and Owens. I don't know. It's going to be interesting because, and it kind of all, I guess it all comes down to when the Roman Cody thing happens again. Because I feel like the right thing, and I don't know if this is going to happen for sure, but I feel like the right thing to do is lead Cody. Cody is going to beat Roman, and that's the way it should be. So as of right now, that's what my vision is, and I hope it stays that way. Gunther versus Mustafa Ali. Mustafa, obviously, because it's in Saudi. It's in Saudi, so that's why we're getting this match. Gunther, I expect to win. If he doesn't, then that's just silly.
We riot.
We riot in Saudi. Saudi riots. Bianca Belair versus Asuka rematch for the championship. Hopefully, this is where Asuka gets her moment. Rhea versus Natalya for the SmackDown Women's title, and Becky Lynch versus Trish Stratus in a grudge match. So could be an interesting show. Just a shame it's all in Saudi because, yeah. Without getting into that, that's just that. Anyway, yeah. So there's that. I guess let's without further ado, let's get into some Backlash. Let's kind of because people can kind of draw comparisons. I'm sure most people out there that listens have watched 2023's Backlash, and a lot of them may have watched 2000 Backlash, or if they haven't, maybe they haven't seen it in a really long time. I know this is the first time I'd watched it in a lot of years.
Yeah, I'd seen it a few years back. This is one I think we talked about on one of our other podcasts. My cousin back in the day had an illegal satellite feed, and there for like a whole year, we got pay-per-views for free, and it was it's a good time to be getting them for free. And I can distinctively remember this was one of them.
Yeah, man, I tell you, with the exception of maybe WrestleMania, because I did a little research. I haven't watched all the shows yet, but I think especially that first half of the year up until Judgment Day was, I think, fairly solid, other than maybe WrestleMania.
Yeah, this should have been WrestleMania
era thing going on.
Yeah, this card should have been WrestleMania. When you look at WrestleMania 2000, I was looking at it earlier on Wikipedia. You have 9 matches, I believe. You have one singles match, and it's a woman's match between Dustin Rhodes' wife Terry and the Cat that goes 2.5 minutes. Everybody else is either in a tag team match or a 3 or a 4-way, and that's why nobody remembers it, because you got too much Gaga going on in every single.
Yeah, too many multi-man matches is never good. Definitely interesting. You can't have that many multi-man matches. That's insane to me. I don't understand. No. I think it's kind of one of those things where like you don't get that much back in those days, at least not yet. But right there, you kind of get that format that they kind of do all the time now, where especially at big shows, where you just kind of throw as many people as you can into the show to get their spot. Yeah, and that's not always a good thing.
That doesn't make for a quality program, though. Just throwing people in.
No, absolutely not.
In that case, you end up getting a weird team like Kane and Rikishi taking on Degeneration X at WrestleMania 2000. Who cares? Like, why are Kane and Rikishi teaming? Just so Kane can tombstone Pete Rose and we get that pop. It's just stupid.
Yeah, which has been done at this point since, what, 3 years running? 2 or 3 years running?
Yeah.
Call me old school.
Call me old school, but if I'm booking a show, I have one multi-man match, 1 3-way or 4-way or 6-way or something. Everything else is a singles or a tag, or a 6-man or something. It drives me nuts. Especially, I liked ECW, but you watch a lot of those Paul Heyman ECW shows, the original ECW back in the day. You got a 3-way going on and a 4-way going on, and it's too much.
It's a spot monkey fest, or it's a really big mess of a show, and it's great to see all your favorites. But man, going back and watching it, man, when you're not a kid and you kind of learn a little bit about the business a little bit. Like, you kind of grow up and you learn kind of the ins and outs of it. And I'm no expert, and I'm not going to claim to be, because then I'll just sound like a total tool to the world. But yeah, you just to learn a little bit, you go back and you watch this, and you're like, that's not good, man. Yeah, that's not good for me, brother. So Backlash 2000, just a couple of stats here real quick before we get started on the card. Got the old Wikipedia pulled up because, that's what I do, and Wikipedia is never wrong. So we got most time about this stuff, it's all right. April 30th, 2000 was the date. Backlash 2000, live from Washington D.C., the MCI Center. Attendance was 19,101 people. And buy rate 650,000, so over 500,000 people. Pretty good for pay-per-view. That's height of the business pretty much. I don't know what all the buy rates around that time was. I'll have to look those up eventually, not today. But yeah, pretty good buy rate, I think. Interesting. Too, this had 9 matches. I think you mentioned that earlier. 2023 Backlash only had 7. And both pay-per-views had little to no title changes. In fact, a little slight spoiler alert here, there's no title changes at all on either one of those shows except for one on Backlash 2000. We'll get to that in just a little bit. So, with all that out of the way, let's get into the card. Opening it up the night was Edge and Christian versus DX, which would be Road Dogg and X-Pac with Tori. For the tag team championships. So, Andrew, what did you think about this match here?
Well, before we get into the match, I want to talk about what I really hated, and that was Deborah McMichael's ring introduction. She was awful.
My gosh. Yeah, very quiet. Very quiet.
You've got that. You got the best DX theme ever with Run DMC, in my opinion.
Yes.
Going on, and she's got that high-pitched, nasally voice talking over it. And it's just like, dude, shut up.
Right
yeah, I want to hear this. And
then you
go ahead.
Go ahead.
And then you got
I
Edge.
Was say that Edge and Christian.
She's like,
Christian, sorry, there's a delay there.
Yeah, she's like the World Wrestling Federation Tag Team Champions, Edge and Christian. It's just what?
Yeah. Well, I was so thrown off by that. But I realized when she announced them as winners, she did it again, but the camera showed her. So I know why she sounded like that, because she was being seductive. She was doing their seductive thing.
I missed that, why. I guess.
So
yeah,
like,
it didn't sound.
Yeah. She was doing the Edge and Christian. That's why it sounded like that, because she was being seductive. Because it's Deborah. So yeah, it was bad though. It was bad. I'll give you that. So there's your spoiler. Edge and Christian ends up retaining, which I already mentioned earlier. Pretty much everybody retains in this show. Edge and Christian defeats X-Pac and Road Dogg at 8 minutes and 37 seconds. With, and it's really not that bad of a match. It's wild. It's a wild finish. Many finishes back then were. X-Pac hits, or Christian hits X-Pac, with the ring bell for the win, busts X-Pac open. I think it was Tori gets hit by X-Pac in that. There was a spot where Tori gets up on the apron, he comes off the ropes, Christian misses, or Christian ducks, I believe it is, and then he hits Tori, knocks her down. Road Dogg's checking on her, the ref's out there checking on her. That's when he can make his move. Christian gets in with the ring bell, lays X-Pac out.
Lays him wide open, too. And I believe that was a hard way, because you can really tell, like when you watch that Brock match at Backlash 2023, you can tell a hard way from a cut, when they're actually blading.
Yeah.
A real head wound bleeds like that. And you notice in the next match with Malenko and Scotty 2 Hotty, there's blood all over the canvas. So to me, that's more than just, one of those deals right there. It's. I think he actually got him, with a little piece sticking out of the bell on accident.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah, they mentioned him getting stitches, and I believe it. I think that was I think that was kind of an accident.
Yeah.
Decent stuff from Tori here as a heel manager. I thought it was pretty decent. She got involved in all the right spots. In fact, most of the valets and managers all night got involved in the matches. So there's a lot of gaga, but they did their part and they did it well.
Yeah,
and we can
I
talk
like
about those more
Jerry
later.
Lawler in this one. I like Jerry Lawler's commentary in this quite a bit too. He's like, I'd like to scan Tori's barcode. And he was just, him and JR were on all night. It was good.
Yeah. Oh, they were. I agree. Him and JR were. That's a big difference between this show and the Backlash 2023 show as well. The crowd in Puerto Rico might have been a little hotter more consistently. The crowd here was pretty hot for DC though, in the right spots. JR though, that commentary with him and King just blows anything nowadays out of the water.
Especially in the main event. When they're arguing in the main event and you got Jerry Lawler kissing Vince's butt and The Rock is a guy that we'll get more onto that later, but Jim signed The Rock and so he's got, but anyway, you compare that to the commentary for Bash at the Beach 2000 and there's just no comparison whatsoever. They were just my God. Such an underrated part of the show.
You could tell they were phoning it in.
Yeah,
you can tell they were phoning it in back in those days in WCW anyway. That they're just throwing their hands up and and they have no qualm about saying it on live TV. They're like, well, we don't know what's happening, and that's the truth.
Tony Schiavone in 2000.
Not much different than Tony Schiavone in 2022 in AEW.
So what do you rate this?
But I did 2 3/4 stars. Might be generous, but I thought it was pretty decent. It was a good hot opening match. Crowd dug it. Love that Run DMC DX theme. Good players here. Edge and Christian, man, I'm telling you, I love Road Dogg and I love X-Pac. Edge and Christian is one of the greatest tag teams of all time.
Yeah, they're coming into their own here. They were starting to figure it out.
Coming into their own here, and they are all just good, man, at everything. It's all good work. Even Road Dogg and X-Pac, I think they just had all solid work. I know X-Pac got a lot of heat eventually, but I think they're all great.
I wanted to give it 3 stars.
They play their parts well.
It's not, to me, they don't get enough time to get to 3 stars. It's like I said, 8.5 minutes.
Yeah, 8.5. Yeah, 8.5 minutes.
If you give that match another 2 or 3 minutes, maybe they, there's some more spots there, some more counter wrestling to pump that up a little bit. But 2 3/4 is fair. I'll agree with you there.
Yeah. Well, then we get a scene of Rock arriving in a limo. Then we jump to Scotty 2 Hotty versus Dean Malenko for the light heavyweight championship. I almost forgot about the light heavyweight championship, to be honest with you.
I would blame
so
you.
Dean Malenko comes in as Dean Malenko comes in as champion, retains the championship here. They get 11 minutes and 47 seconds actually, so they get about 3 minutes and 10 seconds more actually than
let's see how to flip those.
Opening match. I would have probably flipped them as well as far as time goes, but I will say for a lower card or mid card tier match, I actually really like this match. This was because Scotty 2 Hotty, you don't really think about him as a singles wrestler. Dean Malenko is one of the greatest technical wrestlers I think ever that people don't talk about because he just doesn't have. He's kind of like the Lance Storms, of the Radicals. He's boring, but he's really good. Yes. He's stiff. He's just really small. But man, if you go back and watch, I encourage people to go back and watch some of his WCW work with the Cruiserweight division, him and Eddie and all of them.
Ray.
Wow. Good stuff. Yeah. And it's no different here, really. I thought him and Scotty held his own. He did pretty decent here. It was a typical wrestling match. It wasn't Attitude Era Gaga. It wasn't anything weird or crazy. It was just a match, and it kind of stands out to me in this on this card because it's a match, and you don't get that the rest of the show. I mean, you get decent stuff the rest of the show, but you know what I mean. It's just not. Yeah. It's not a typical wrestling. It's nothing else is typical wrestling matches.
Yeah. This one ticked the wrestling box for sure. I don't know. I was kind of losing interest by the end of it. I thought it went a little too long. I love the finish.
It
I
did
thought
go too long.
The DDT off the top rope
Yes.
was wild. I just wish they shot it at a
Counter
different
DDT. I did too. Yeah, because I mean that actually, like, my eyebrows went up from it. I'm like, whoa! I actually audibly said, whoa! I haven't seen that in so many years, and I forgot all about it. Like, it's just, you don't see that move. Such a great finish. Great finish. So I think, like you said, it's probably about 2 or 3 minutes too long.
Yep. And for that, I'm going to give it a 2.5. It was okay for what it was, but I always thought the WCW cruiserweights were awesome. I always thought the cruiserweight division in WWE was just kind of vanilla, and I never really got into it.
It was.
Even in the Attitude Era days, unless you had Ray and Chavo going for the belt, which they had all those WCW matches, I just wasn't all that interested.
Yeah.
So 2.5 is as high as I'm going to go, even though it was very passable.
I actually was really nice. I gave it a 2 3/4 as well. I thought it was just it was surprisingly good for a mid-card singles match. You just don't expect that, because you don't expect that out of Scotty. And I was really watching Scotty's work there, because him and Grandmaster Sexay is Too Cool is a great tag team. I thought they worked really well together, and they're entertaining. Crowd was really behind Scotty in this for the most part. Like I said, it went on too long, but he did really good as a singles competitor here, and Dean carried a lot of it. It's definitely a Dean Malenko style match.
Yep.
Nothing wrong with that. Next up, we got a scene. We got a backstage segment. McMahon tells all the Stooges that it's all hands on deck tonight. Pat Patterson and Gerald Briscoe have rejoined Vince McMahon alongside Triple H and the McMahon Helmsley era, the faction, and he tells them that he really needs their help tonight. And Triple H is pretty confident. He's all these working. These moving parts within his scheme is
I love
to be going his way.
You can't not like the Stooges, and how they end up.
I know.
They're the fall guys for Vince, and it's great.
Yeah, absolutely. Next up, Big Boss Man and Bull Buchanan versus the APA. Just a typical tag match here. Actually, also the same exact time as the first tag match, 8 minutes and 37 seconds.
Although I will say, to me, these guys are a whole lot bigger than the guys in that first match, but they were working faster than those guys in that first match. And I was messaging you today. I was rewatching it, and I was like, man, I'm actually impressed, because you don't expect a great wrestling match out of these big guys. And I can say this about the entire show, they were really smacking flesh in this thing. They were pounding each other. You look at these two teams. Yeah. There's a spot in here I was watching. It's Farouk and Big Boss Man, and Farouk gives him a shoulder tackle, and he goes into the second rope, bounces back, and takes a clothesline.
Yes,
and it just smack. It just sounded painful.
He comes off that rope so hard. That was good. That was a good spot, because I mean, and the thing is, Boss Man, which he may have been, but he looks so blown up, and he may not have been. But he took an ass kicking and was moving slow. He looked kind of gassed. But he come off that second rope, like you said, that middle rope, and then sprung back up. I thought that was just awesome for big guy to catch that bottom rope or middle rope and come back up and then take that move.
For four guys near 300.
How about Bull Buchanan?
Yeah, for four guys near 300 pounds, I thought this match was great. It's not going to be a technical masterpiece, but they told the story they needed to tell, just beating the hell out of each other.
That spot where he kicks him off the ropes and Bradshaw kicks Bull off the ropes and bends over, kind of like for that leapfrog move, and Bull grabs him and sunset flips over him and lands on his feet. That's wild. I was like, whoa. I was like, holy cow. Because, Bull Buchanan was a forgettable guy, too. He was just a big dude. He never got pushed for very long. I do remember him and Boss Man being together for a little while. But, yeah, that was, and you had ref Teddy Long. Man, Teddy Long was the ref still. It was just, it was good. Bradshaw and Farouk were at their peak here, I think, with in the APA stuff started. That's when the bar fights and the office, I think, started kicking in. I think they did the door. I don't. It was around that time, I think. I love that. All those backstage poker playing.
Hey, knock on the door.
it really goes to show you how stacked that tag team roster was back then. There were so many tag teams, different sizes, and they were all just awesome. You don't get that anymore at all.
No, you get.
I know
you
they
get
don't really
mediocre tag teams thrown into a match, one match on WrestleMania. That's what you.
Yeah, and I know that they don't get some of the love and the pushes they probably deserve, but man, who's there that's going to be good tag teams? I don't know. I just don't see it, and that might be because they don't really focus on that. But yeah, Bull hits this scissor kick off the top rope to finish the match. Boss Man ends up hitting both Farouk and Bradshaw with a nightstick, with the referee distracted. Boss Man, they get the win over the APA, which is interesting. I gave this bad boy a 2.5 star. I thought they worked their asses off. I thought the spots were great, but I didn't think they were quite as good as the other ones. Just rating it how I saw it at the time.
Yeah, of the 3 matches, I'd rate this right. Of the 3 tag team matches, that is, I'd rate this right with the first one, 2 3/4. I want to go 3 just because they were really going for it, but it didn't have enough time to really get to 3 stars.
No,
so,
it did 8.5 minutes again. I mean, I tell you what, it's crazy how and Farouk and Bradshaw, some hard hitting dudes. They are stiff. Speaking of stiff, Bob Holly, I guess gotta say Hardcore Holly. First, they show Jeff and Matt backstage before this match, and how they're brothers, they love each other, they're teammates, but when it comes down to it, if it comes down to them two at the end, they're gonna fight, right? Then in this next match, it's a hardcore match. Then they show Bob Holly with Crash, who is the hardcore champion. Crash is the hardcore champion. It's a 6-pack challenge for the hardcore championship. And Bob Holly just cuts through hey cousin, just so you know, I don't mind kicking the shit out of you all over this arena. I love it. Was just so funny. You had these 2 brothers just had this moment. Hey, yeah, we have an understanding. Bob Holly, cut to Bob Holly. I'm going to kick the hell out of you.
That Alabama family dynamic.
Yeah, I absolutely. Man, you forget how good Bob Holly was, and just how funny he was, and he in his own way. Yeah. I also got to say, during this, you see that I think it happened a few times in the night. The entryway, they had this camera kind of at a high angle, like a higher angle, but it was shooting the crowd in the ring from the entryway, so that you could kind of see as Perry Saturn was entering. I think it was. You got to see him come out. You got to see his back and see him. I thought that was a cool shot because you had those what are those,
pendulums,
those pendulums, the sickles. They look like sickles, and they were coming down. And I thought that was a really cool visual.
So No Mercy was one of my favorite N64 games. Probably my favorite N64 game. That was always the arena I fought in. Absolutely. Because that was the coolest arena with those pendulums.
Oh, I loved. Yeah, I think that was awesome, and they did that for 2 or 3 years, 2 or 3 shows. Any backlashes where you had those, and they come to, and I love that, man. The animation there, I love that. They don't do the entryways like they used to. They kind of stopped that about 12 years ago or so, 12, 13 years ago, something like that. And I miss them so much.
But I really liked how the Hardys used those pendulums in this match a couple of different times, and it was pretty creative.
Crash went straight to him. I guess I'll mention real quick. It's the Hardys, Hardcore, and Crash, and Taz and Perry Saturn in this match because we didn't mention Taz. It's an absolute mess of a match, as you would expect. It's not an elimination style 6-pack challenge. It is not whoever the first pinfall is in a battle royale style or any of that. It's their scramble style. It is, you have to beat Crash. Crash is the champion, you have to pin him. So everyone's fighting each other and Crash to pin Crash. And Crash Holly gets the just piss kicked out of him the whole time. And it's hilarious. But Crash, he runs away, he tries to get away, he heads up the stage, those pendulums, he tries to crawl, and they go up after him, and Matt hits the this high spot onto all of them. Typical stuff out of a match like this. Lots of they had extension cords, stop signs, trash can lids. I know that they're like paper thin. Those pans, like the cooking pans and stuff. I know they're super paper thin and they're like tinfoil. There's nothing, but they make such a good sound. Yeah, it's just hilarious.
In this match, they make a big sound, but they're not near as stiff as some of the clotheslines that Taz and Perry Saturn and Hardcore Holly were throwing. This is another one, man. That when they were connecting in this match, and it sounded great.
Well, and you can expect nothing less from those guys, especially Hardcore Holly. Bob Holly was. It was kind of funny to see him work because he just kind of like watch some guy pin him and then he'd kick him, break the pin up. Then the next guy would fall on Crash. He'd kick him and pin him, and then he just and when everybody's not around, he picks up Crash and suplexes him outside on the floor. Just hilarious. He I think it was it Taz? I'm trying to think of who it was. It was Taz or Perry. Grabbed somebody. They were like on the ropes and they like basically grabbed him almost midair and German suplexed him in a spot, and I thought that
could be either one of those guys.
There was really, really good spots in this match. Through all the mess, through all the craziness, there were some pretty decent shots. I think it was. Let's see. It was entertaining. You know what I mean? Like that's kind of what I'm getting at. It's a mess, but it was entertaining. You can't really expect anything else out of these. Crash, like I said, he takes a beating. Taz gets Crash gets the pin. He sneaks the pin in. Hardy's come out with the ladder at the end. Finally take everybody out, and then each other. Then they do some dives to the outside, finishing everybody off. I think right before that, Perry hits Taz with this big sign, just
stop sign,
right over his head. Just lays him out, and then of course he gets taken out, and then they do their spots, and then Crash is just left there as he wakes up, and then just pins Taz, just laid out on the mat, steals the win, moves on. Just made it out of it. Thought that was pretty funny. I like how they booked Crash back in those days. You remember that playpen thing they did in the mall?
Yes.
A mall or something.
I forgot all about that. Yes.
It's some kind of SmackDown, because they did the 24/7 hardcore title at the time.
Right. I'm not usually going to rate these too high, but to me, this is the highest rating I've given on this show so far. I'm going to give it a 3 because it was entertaining crap.
Yeah.
You look at the hardcore division, what was going on at the time in WCW. You know, we talked about Big Vito and Norman Smiley and stuff, and this is miles ahead of that.
100%.
There were just enough spots that made sense, and the physicality was awesome. Like lots of flesh smacking and lots of guys really laying them in, which is what's missing today. There's not enough.
I feel like you can. I feel like you can rate it a little bit different too, because and the reason why I say that is you don't. When you look at them nowadays, it's a lot of just copy and paste and a lot of no heart, no nothing. I know that this is a mess, but this is also back in the time where we didn't, unless you turned on ECW, excuse me, or you watched maybe an old Texas death match out of Cactus, you didn't see stuff like this. This is all relatively new at the time, and it's a mess, but it is entertaining. And I think I have to rate it just because it's, at that time, it wasn't overly done yet. Does that make sense?
That's true.
How I feel about it. That's kind of how I feel about it. Anyway.
So what do you rate it?
Other than ECW, I gave it a 2.5. I gave it 2.5. I thought it was fun. It definitely, it's definitely not good, but it's fun. It's kind of weird.
It's not Ric Flair versus Ricky Steamboat, but it's passable fun crap.
It's definitely a good mid-card match, like mid-show match, just to do something different. Speaking of different, and we were talking about big guys earlier. Next up's the Big Show versus Kurt Angle, and I guess leading up to this, and that's one thing about these packages. I think WWE even today still does so well is they leading up get everything leading up to that. So if you haven't seen the show in a long time, you kind of understand. Oh yeah, this is around that time frame. I think this is post Boss Man and Big Show's crazy
Daddy.
Because where he like drug the coffin off with him on top of it. Because Big Show had already had his hair cut by then.
Big Show
said he was gonna. So it was a Big Show. Big Show wants to be the superstar, right? He wants to be the Hollywood guy. He's talking about how he can be funny and entertaining, and he ends up getting set up. Kurt Angle gets set up in a tag match for the tag team titles with Big Show. What was it the Big Show came out as? Because whatever it was, it pissed Kurt Angle off.
He came out as fat.
Not in this match, but in that. Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah,
Fat
Bastard, the Scottish kid. Yeah. So Kurt Angle ends up slapping him on the apron just because he's like, "What are you doing, man? Get serious. You're a wasted talent." So then of course that fires up Big Show and he beats the hell out of him. And it leads all to this. It leads to this, and Big Show still in this match wants to be a superstar, and instead, I don't know why. It is entertaining, but he comes out as Hulk Hogan.
The showster.
And, like Charlie, the showster instead of the Hulkster. Charlie Haas did this shit for a short spell back in the early 2010s, and it was kind of funny. The Stone Cold Steve Austin thing.
I checked out. I never heard about that.
Oh, you should see it. He did several of them like that. So Big Show comes out with the really cheap bald cap, basically, and the long wig. And then he's got the big yellow spandex tights, that not the long tights but the short tights that Hogan would wear, and the big showster and the Hulkster lettering. And he comes out there to the Real American. He does the posing and all that. And right out of the gate, I gotta say it was pretty funny, because right out of the gate, Angle attacks him, and he just immediately starts hulking up. And doing the no, and then JR even says on commentary, "Oh, the famous no sell," or something like that. He's like, "Oh no, the no selling."
JR's so good in this match. At one point, he goes, "This is the most people have cheered Hogan in years." It's just so
yes. Yeah, because the crowd was just straight up cheered for Hogan.
Yeah.
But yeah, Big Show gets the big boot. He drops the leg on him. Does a really good promo, a Hulk Hogan style promo at the beginning, right before the match starts. Hilarious. Yeah, immediately he doesn't get the pin, but immediately just goes into the Hulk stuff's great. Angle does get a little bit of offense, so it's not a total squash, but eventually he pisses him off and he peels the wig off and all that, and the shirt and all that. Well, the shirt came off, I guess, at the beginning, but choke slams him 1, 2, 3 in 2 minutes and 35 seconds.
Yeah.
So
I wish it was
not squash,
somebody besides Kurt, because at the time you're building Kurt up. 2 months from this, he'd win King of the Ring, and
yeah, because he won the title in that same year, didn't he?
Right. Yeah, in October. So
yeah.
It didn't hurt him too bad, but it kind of, I don't know. To me, it seems, I don't know why you would book it that way. But, I do love that he kicked out of the leg drop. He tried stuff, but it didn't work. And he had to resort to being a big, nasty monster to get him. But I just wish it was somebody besides Kurt,
Yeah, I don't know who it could have been at the time, but yeah, I agree. But at least you got him on the show, I guess, right?
Yeah. As a match, I don't rate it at all. But as an overall segment, I'm giving this one a 3 as well. I thought, from beginning to end, he's showing the biceps and posing and walking through the shadow of the Valley of Death, dude, and it was spot on.
Hey, brother, let me tell you something. Dude. Yeah, that was so good. I gave it a 2 3/4. Just entertainment value. I gave it 2 3/4. It was short. Like I said, I hate that it was Kurt, but it was all right. It was okay for what it was. I'm glad, because I definitely recognize value in the Big Show. Big Show's one of those dudes like Andre, like Taker and Kane that has lasting appeal. I've never been a big fan, because I'm not a big fan of really big guys. I put it this way. I like Big Show in small doses, which is how they should be used. I think personally, I think as a character, as a person, I think he's hilarious, and I think he's a good guy. But yeah, as an ongoing monster character, it gets old. That stuff gets old. So this is kind of how you would want to use a character like that. Come out there, whether he's heel or face. If he's face, use him, let him be funny, let him show some character, and then let him do his work, and then get out of there. Don't hold on to him too long.
Yeah,
he was able to prolong his career doing stuff like that. Luckily, and he's probably also a little bit fortunate that he was able to go so long in his career. But yeah, it gets too much. Big Show is too much. It really takes that sugar off of it,
And this is how almost should be used, like we were saying earlier. Like if you're going to use it, but not a Kurt Angle style. You wouldn't have him squash a guy like Seth Rollins or something. You'd have him beat a guy, on Crash Holly's level, or two guys Crash Holly's level, and he'd be an attraction like Andre. You don't. But you don't.
The thing is,
someone.
The thing about almost is he doesn't have, as far as I know, he does not have the Big Show personality. He does not have a Paul White character. He's not even English speaking. He's. I don't know. He might have some funny part. I don't know. He might be funny. I don't know. I doubt it. Yeah. So you need to build him as the heel monster that doesn't talk. So get him a good manager. You got MVP. I know that's what they're trying to do, but they're not succeeding. I'd rather have MVP with Bobby Lashley. Honestly, I thought that whole thing was amazing, and they ruined it. Yeah. The Hurt Business was awesome. And then you actually gave Shelton Benjamin something to do, like he should be doing. Yes. Anyway, next up we have the Dudley Boys versus TNA. That's Test and Albert, not Tits and Ass. And with Trish Stratus. Speaking of, so there was actually some of that. Versus the Dudley Boys, Bubba Ray and Devon. Just a normal tag team match here. I gotta say that the video package to this is bravo WWF. Yes. Thank you for that.
Nothing like Trish dancing on tape. Polishing.
I forgot.
Lemon oil on a table, talking seductively. Nothing better than that. And I will say, this to me made the Dudley Boys. Like, I followed him in ECW beforehand, but and he was putting Mae Young through tables and putting whoever through tables. But this angle and this match to me made it.
Yeah, I agree. It showed and I have to say that Tess and Albert are a really good tag team. I like them both together a lot.
Yes,
because Albert has a lot of potential, but he's the kind of the enforcer to the smaller. Like, he would be one of those kind of guys that you would hook up with a small guy like X-Pac or somebody, right? But Albert actually has a little bit of character to him. Like you could see it. You can see it in the backstage area where they've got the glasses on. He's standing there looking like a bouncer. And when, Trish is doing their little seductive thing to Michael Cole, and then Michael Cole's kind of just leaning into her, but he's not even really advancing on her though. She's just kind of leaning into him. And then instead of doing anything to Trish, Albert grabs Michael Cole and pulls him back, like, get away from her. Like, don't get too close. Even though it was Trish that was getting close to him. I thought that was pretty good. Test was one of those just unfortunate stars that just didn't
he was moving up, and then
they
pulled him away from Stephanie, and he never recovered whatsoever. Like,
no.
He was up in this, and then he was. I mean, a mid-card tag team. It just never recovered.
Yeah, and I do like his work with TNA here, but he just never went anywhere after that. It was unfortunate. Then he just became Andrew Martin, and he got kind of more jacked and cut his hair, and then he got into drugs and all. I don't know. It's unfortunate, man, what happened to him. I really liked Test. I thought Test was awesome. Trish, hot as ever. I mean, I also got to say here that this match was good. And I thought they laid stuff in. I thought they were really athletic. I thought Albert moved better than Boss Man. Test is, like I said, he was awesome. He's in his prime here. Test running big boot. is the best big boot I think in the business. Because I mean he laid it in.
He had a good top rope elbow too. Not Macho Man level, but it was for a guy his size was pretty good.
For a guy his size, yeah. Because what was he, 6'7", 6'6", 6'7", or 8?
It's probably, yeah.
He's a big dude. Maybe, I don't know. He's a big dude. And I also have to say, before I get the rating, that God bless the cameraman on that finish.
Yes.
Because she came up there and took her goat off and to get their attention, to distract them. And not only did it work, but when Tess hit that boot and they both dropped their big asses down on the mat, just right there in her cheeks, just boop boop, and then the referee hits the 1 2 3, and then she kind of did her little dance with the count. Yeah, they knew what they were doing in that.
Yeah,
they knew what they were doing. Yeah, so God bless them.
When we get into the actual finish of the match with the table, they played it out perfectly. Like she lays that kiss on Bubba Ray. And then she walks away like she's really done something, and he grabs her hair.
Yeah, she's did it again.
That was perfect because they played that up. I will say one thing that makes Backlash 2000 so good is the build up to this show was phenomenal, and this was a major part of it.
Absolutely,
this and the Triple H and Rock stuff. You know, for just
I was going to mention that.
Yeah, it was the way she teased him every single week. And then I just watched it today. You know, I always thought that Bubba took that bump on his butt, you know, through the table. But if you watch this one, his legs from about his knees take it. Her back takes the entire thing going through the table. And then, kudos.
They really, because I think the other ones they show, like the Mae Young and stuff, he really took the brunt of most of those. Like Terry's, I can't remember Terry's, but yeah, Trish took all of that just about. Because I'm glad they showed all those replays because when I first saw them, I'm like, ooh, that was a good one. That was a good bump.
Yeah,
because she was pretty tiny and she wasn't really wrestling yet. So I mean, it's like
she was trained, but she wasn't wrestling. She wasn't.
Yeah, like kudos to a lot of them women for taking that. You know, just because you never know, man. That was great stuff. I gave this 3 1/4 stars. Just overall. Obviously, the match was good. I liked all these guys. They're athletic. Trish, the cameraman, they're all a part of it. Cameraman, you get 3.5 stars. You get 3 1/4 stars too.
5 stars, cameraman,
and then of course the payoff. 5
3
stars
for the
cameraman. Just give me your PayPal if you're still out there. I'll send you a tip. 3 1/4 stars for that, and then of course the payoff at the end. Awesome for with the table spot. What was your rating on that?
I'll go 3. Match wise, I wouldn't quite go 3 1/4. You know what? For the entire package, for the powerbomb through I'll go 3 1/4. I'll go with you on that.
Yeah,
I'd buy that for $1.
I think that's solid. Yeah, I think that's it. Yeah, I would too. Which is why OnlyFans exists nowadays. Unfortunately, I don't do that. I'm just saying that's why.
What?
But I would never. So I don't know if I mentioned the 6-pack challenge match from earlier. That came in at 12 minutes and 18 seconds. So I thought that might have been a little bit long for like that kind of a mess. But
10 minutes.
Anyway, there's that. I did mention the Big Show match. That was 2.5 minutes. This clocked in at 11:06. So, which I thought was okay. I thought between everything, I didn't mind the length on this one.
Yeah,
I thought everything worked out pretty well. Next match. What did you said 3 1/4? What was the next match? Was okay. Yeah, Eddie Guerrero. So Eddie Guerrero rolls in about the time they wheel Trish out and put her in the ambulance and take off. Him and China, Mamacita, and Latino Heat roll up in his ride, and referee comes running up and says, "Hey, man." Yeah, from the prom. Still tuxedo, nice dress.
Yeah. He got his GED Monday Night Raw. Coming in from the prom.
I'm telling you, for all the stupid shit in those days, there was some funny stuff.
Yeah.
Just, I know that I would probably pick on a lot of it today, but man, there was just nothing. Back then, they could sell it. So Eddie Guerrero in China, Eddie Guerrero being the European champion, versus S.A. Rios with Lita. So this is Lita prior to the Hardy Boys connection. Eddie Guerrero comes out and wrestles in his bow tie. He's still got the bow tie on, the cummerbund.
Yeah, it did his dress shoes on too.
The dress shoes, I think so. All he does is get in the trunk of his car and pull out his elbow pads and put them on, take his shirt off. So he wrestles in that. And Chyna's got her prom dress on. S.A. Rios, I thought, was a decent enough talent back in the day, but just real short-lived stuff, just typical kind of luchador. Obviously, we know where Lita went. Came in at 8 minutes and 38 seconds. Eddie Guerrero gets the win, retains the title. Airplane spin neck breaker, which I thought was awesome. Good spots in this match, kind of more your typical cruiserweight lucha style match, which I thought was okay. It's a little bit different. Yeah, I mean, anything with Eddie's great. I also wanted to make mention real quick because I wrote this down in my notes that S.A. Rios' entrance theme sounded like "Livin' La Vida Loca," like just like a really, like, for whatever reason, just like a Wish version of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, decent spots. I gave it a 2 out of 5. Nothing against SA, but Eddie's had way better matches before and after. Just kind of around the middle.
A little more than you did. I gave it a 2 3/4. I thought for like a cruiserweight type match, it was really good.
Yeah. I mean, it wasn't bad. I don't know. There was nothing. Biggest. Well, I don't know what was the biggest. Like I said, that finish was good. The finish from Eddie was good, and then of course, Lita thought she was gonna get one over on Chyna at the end by ripping her prom dress off to give the world that show, and then Eddie's like, well, not such a bad thing, and then she just kind of does okay, and then wasn't even like shocked by it, like she wasn't covering up like the rest of the girls would try to do. I mean, at this point, she's been on the Playboy cover. Like, why would any of this matter? Like, oh my God, you got her, Lita, you got her.
Well, I think that was later in the year, like in the fall.
Oh, was it really?
Yeah, she hadn't done that yet.
I thought she might.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, she had 2, I think. Didn't she have 2 spreads?
Maybe.
I feel like she did, or maybe that was Sable. I don't remember.
But yeah, that was later on, because I think the Playboy thing's what caused them to split up, like later in the year. Like Latino Heat didn't put up
him and Eddie. And ironically, I'm pretty sure around that time that Paul and her split. I think I can't remember what year that actually was, because I know the stuff with him and Stephanie on screen developed into something more eventually later. I know they didn't like officially like. Yeah, I know they didn't. I guess supposedly they didn't officially like date and get married and all that till much later, but I'm pretty sure there was something going on there. Not that this is the Young and the Restless, so we're going to move on to Backlash. So next is a scene. Triple H seems confident in the back that I think Michael Cole or somebody interviews him, and then Vince says that Stone Cold may not be there at all because maybe car trouble or something, insinuating that he may have had something to do with Stone Cold not making it. So they're really playing up, this appearance of Stone Cold. The announcers are, and then the Vince McMahon and that crew is playing up that, they've got this upper hand. Stone Cold's not showing. You can't really trust him anyway. And, they're just really confident that they're going to beat the hell out of The Rock, and Rock's not going to become champion. So they're really dressing that up. That's good. Good stuff. Next match is the match before the main event, the secondary main event. This is Chris Benoit, or as Chris Jericho would say, Chris Benoit. And he does say that here, which I love. I'll never, ever forget that. I always call him Chris Benoit now. Chris Jericho and him for the Intercontinental Championship, the United States title does not exist yet here. Jericho gets a good pop from the crowd here. I think he was pretty hot pretty early, wasn't he?
Yeah, it was Y2K, so Y2J was still in vogue.
Was really yes in vogue. I love during the entrance of Chris Benoit, JR says he's colder than the other side of the pillow, and I think that's one of my favorite expressions of all time.
Yeah,
because I know that's not the only time he said it, but it's one of my favorite. Benoit takes a couple spots I wrote down here. Benoit takes a dive outside, misses, landing on the floor. I thought that was a good spot. I know it looked more protected. Actually, after the replay, it looked more protected than it sounded the first time. But man, I tell you what, if you go back and watch any replays of some of his matches, not just this one, he takes spots like that, those dives, and I mean just goes hard in the paint. It's no wonder what happened to him, with his head and all that. I've seen better matches out of both of these guys, but I thought it was still pretty good, honestly.
They would have a better one the next month on pay-per-view. But
yeah.
As far as
maybe
all around,
I don't know.
The ending to this one,
I thought it was really good.
The ending to this one, I mean, it was a good match clear up until the end, and then they're like, "Well, we got to make a program out of this, so we got to have a schmoz ending," and I didn't like it.
Yeah, I didn't much like it either. I think it would have been better to, if you're going to have a schmoz ending, I think if you're going to do something a little different, I think you get, I don't know. I don't know. It could happen any other way. I mean, the announcers didn't play it up or call it until the replay much later. It was like 2 or 3 minutes later after all that, because he hits the belt because Benoit goes for the diving headbutt.
Yeah,
Jericho moves. What you can see when it happens. He lifts that belt up and he headbutts the belt, and then Tim White sees it and rings the bell, calls a disqualification. Everyone boos, and then the announcers are like, "What?" JR's like, "What the hell? Like what?
Yeah.
What happened? What kind of bullshit is this?" And so, of course, being mad, Jericho takes it on Tim White and then puts him in a really high angle Walls of Jericho, which I thought was
one of the better looking ones.
Just holding on to it. Yeah, absolutely. Just really looks like he is twisting him up, and of course he's not. He's probably a little bit more bendable. He's a bigger guy, but he's not like just solid muscles, so he looks a lot better. I think it looks like he's contorting him a lot more. But anyway, then they play the replay, and JR's like, "Oh well, I was wrong. That was a good call."
To your point earlier, where you were talking about Y2J really being over. Sorry, I got a phone call there. Earlier, like a couple weeks previously on Raw, he had actually beaten Triple H for the world title, and that was the one where he told Earl Hebner, "Hey, that match never happened. That was a storyline mode you could play on No Mercy or something." And he's like, "That match never happened," and then they ended up firing him on the spot, and that plays into the main event later.
Okay, well, I wondered how, I couldn't remember how Earl got fired, but I knew I was going to mention that later, that he was rehired. I thought it was just something I definitely thought it was something with them. I thought they fired him over Triple H something or other, but that makes sense. I didn't realize what the actual deal was over.
Yeah, Y2J had actually beaten him for the belt on like the April 17th Raw, because I can remember watching it, live at the time, and it was a really good.
I don't remember that.
Yeah, it's like the first segment of that show. It's really good.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, not much else to say. I thought both of them add really good variety. I think you got the Benoit type who's really stiff, lays shit in, and Jericho uses that variety, the high flying moves. I think they're a good counterbalance to each other. I thought the title shot. I think there was a title shot to Jericho's head, and there was a kick out after that. They got a good pop. Yeah, just really bad ending. That's pretty much it. But I thought it was one of the better matches of the night. Besides that, and I gave it 3.25 stars.
Yeah, I could go 3.25 stars. That's fine. The match was pretty physical. It was good. I liked all of it except for the ending. They could have found a better way to do it. Double kick to the groin or something. Double DQ. I don't know. So.
Yeah, I don't know. What would have been a good call, because I hadn't really sit here and thought about it, and I'm not going to do that right now. But just in the interest of time. But yeah, I agree. I think there should have been something else going on there. So that will lead us to the main event of the night, and that is Triple H, who is the champion, versus The Rock for the WWF Championship. The champion Triple H is backed up by Vince and Shane, who is the special referee in this match, along with the rest of the McMahon Helmsley faction, except, well, I guess minus DX at this point. DX has had their own problems, so they didn't actually make an appearance. They play a bigger role, I think, in that Judgment Day match. But so yeah, The Rock's supposed to be backed up by Steve.
Like how in the beginning of this match, Vince says, if you look at your program, it says card subject to change. You know, for over half the show, they've been saying Austin isn't there and getting this crowd really wound up. And they did a really good job.
Just drive it home even more.
Yeah, he's not here and he's not coming. And hey, don't put that on me. So I really like Vince healing it up.
Yeah, man, Vince. When you watch him as an on-screen character, Vince is so good. I mean, kudos to I hate saying this, to Kevin Dunn or whoever, the camera work, the producing, like they know how to capture moments, whether it's scripted or not. Because they always find a way to capture whatever Vince is doing with his face, or there was a, and I'll get to the rest of this in a minute, but there is one part in this match where Triple H just can't get The Rock down, and he pins him multiple times, and he's always kicking out at 2, and then Vince just like looks at Shane and yells at him. He's like, Shane, count to 3. It's just like, and they captured all this. This is hilarious.
I was going to drive this point home too, but I think maybe we're talking about the same thing. There's a point in this match where Vince is looking on and he can't beat him, and he's got this look on his face, and Jim Ross makes a comment about his face, and Jerry Lawler's like, what is the man's face? You going to give a guy a hard time about his face? It's his face. It's just great stuff.
Yeah. That's so good. It's just his face. Come on, JR. Man. So good. So just to go back to the beginning real quick, I've got to say that the lead up to this, like, and we've mentioned it already in the show, just not to the whole pay-per-view, but especially to this match, the package, the video package, and all this was top notch.
Yes.
Leading up to this, the go home show to SmackDown the few nights prior was the famous Stone Cold destroying the DX Express. Saying that he's on only his side, but anyway, man, there's a good lead up to this through all of it. I mean, really showing that Rock under kind of being the underdog here. He's not. It's not in his favor. There's way too many moving parts on the Triple H side. And if you don't have Stone Cold, you ain't got nobody, and you ain't got a chance. So the biggest question, obviously, is Stone Cold going to show? And they really do a good job here, like we've already mentioned. This is, by the way, my favorite Triple H. I love the theme. The My Time theme is my favorite Triple H theme. I love this era is absolutely, and of course, I hated him so much as a kid. I just didn't understand. I was so pro Stone Cold, and I was so pro Stone Cold, and I still am. But man, I appreciate him so much more now. He is so good, and I love Evolution Triple H, but this is so good. Like all this stuff is so good.
At this point, I'm 20 years old watching this, and so you can't help but see Triple H and be like, that guy's cool, and he's got, like, to quote Jeff Jarrett, all the stroke. I hated X-Pac and Road Dogg and all of those guys, but Triple H was as cool as he could be. But, at this point,
he was so good.
At this point, the story's told so well, you're ready for Rock to overtake him at this point.
Yeah, because, after everything that's happened between, Royal Rumble and WrestleMania and then the Backlash, it's time. And you got no Undertaker in sight, and you've got no Stone Cold. So, it's time. And the crowd was on fire. The crowd was ready. Everybody was ready. It was just so perfect. Like you said, it's a shame it couldn't happen at Mania.
Yeah.
But, the Rock started off decent offense here, I thought, but it quickly goes to Triple H's favor. This is just some of the notes I wrote down. Shane and Vince got involved a lot, especially Vince. I thought that was all played up really well. Rock is able. They sell it just right too, because Rock's able to stay, fighting from underneath pretty much the whole time, even through all that Gaga. And there wasn't really as much Gaga as I thought.
That was the most important part of the match to me. After the very beginning, he's fighting from underneath, and Triple H cuts him off. And then he'll hit a move, and he's fighting from underneath, and Triple H cuts him off. That happens 3 or 4 times in this match. And then he makes the comeback.
It's not just him,
and Vince hits him with the belt. Vince hits him with.
Yeah.
So now you're really looking for somebody to come out here and do something to these guys. Go ahead with your notes.
Yeah, and
I don't want to get ahead.
You're pretty much right there. I was going to say that he's just slowly building for that payoff, and then he keeps himself alive, and then Vince screws him time and time again, and then you get, and then you've got the crowd chanting Austin, Austin, Austin the whole time. They're ready, right? They're ready, and still don't know if he's coming. Then there's this moment in the match after this pretty, it's like by the way, this is a 19-minute, 22-second match, so this goes for a little while. But it's pretty good all the way. It's not in Rock's favor, which is great, right? And because the payoff is really quick and it's at the end and it's perfect. Mm-hmm. Anyway, Shane, Rock finally gets a move. Shane refuses to count.
Yes.
So this sets the Rock off, and then you get your first referee bump. Shane gets knocked out of the ring. Rock nails him and he just falls out of the ring. Awesome. So they get back up and try to take him. Triple H is going to pedigree him on this Spanish announce table. And the Rock ends up getting a hold of Triple H and Shane and double rock bottoms.
That's
both
amazing.
Of them on the table. Great spot. Great setup. Shane's out now. He's out of the picture. He's done. And
that's a WrestleMania moment right there. That's like totally wasted. That should have been a WrestleMania moment.
Yeah, because it kind of harkens back to the year prior in '99 with the camera with Rock and Austin, where they're he stuns them on the table with the camera. He hold.
Yeah, he sees Austin.
That was good stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh shit! And then all of a sudden you got the double finger, and it was great. So you got that. It gets a huge pop. Shane's out, and now you've got a pedigree on the Rock, I believe, right in the middle of the ring with Triple H. Vince McMahon's waving for the refs to come out. It's Patterson and Briscoe, both of them in ref shirts. Now they're out. Now the Stooges are out.
Now it's 6-on-1.
Now it's 6-on-1. Shane's still out at the moment, but you still got the rest of them. Comes out, replacements. They all attack the Rock. They hold him down. They're beating on him. So we're getting to that moment, right? Triple H grabs the Rock. Vince nails the Rock in the head with a chair as Triple H holds him. Now, I got a note real quick, though. Vince's clumsy ass nails the Rock and then falls over on top of him onto the mat. Now, he gets up and just plays it cool, but this is hilarious. So they're all hovering around the ring, and Vince is yelling at Patterson and Briscoe both. Count to 3 now, okay? You're going to count to 3. And then, as Triple H is picking him up for the pedigree, glass breaks. And, just the place blows. Just awesome. Perfect. One of the best moments of the year. One of the best moments in history. Definitely the best moment of the night. Perfect. He is back for the night, for the moment. Comes out, chair shots for everybody. Just nailing everybody in the head and the back. Hits Triple H, Vince, both Patterson and Briscoe, I believe, and then Shane. He always gets Shane good with those. Just everything, and in this cool breeze fashion, just walks right out of the ring, walks right back to the back, and as he's leaving, Linda comes out with Earl Hebner, which leads into the story that you were saying earlier about Earl Hebner being rehired back by Linda, and now you've got everybody out. Everyone's laid out. Everyone's done. Except for Triple H and The Rock. The Rock gets the spine buster, the people's elbow. Linda tells Earl, get in the ring and count. 1, 2, 3. Just awesome. Just what a moment, man. What a great moment.
Yeah. And that's how you would actually blow off a feud, but it would continue on for another couple months. As far as
like I said, it leads into like Judgment Day at least, which is
they're still fighting over the belt of King of the Ring. Yeah, King of the Ring. They got like a fantastic belt on the line.
I think Judgment Day might be in May that year.
Yeah, it was
the return of the Undertaker as the American Badass.
That's the Iron Man.
So the next month, that's the big Iron Man match that everybody gets involved in. The Undertaker comes out, and they screw The Rock again, of course, because Undertaker's involvement. Oh, we'll have to talk about that sometime. I thought,
but they should have, when they booked WrestleMania this year, they should have watched this show and took notes. You know it. Oh, that is, that place was so ready for Cody to win that belt.
Yes,
and look no further than Exhibit A.
And I get from a business standpoint, especially if this was 20 years ago, let's go ahead and drag it out and make some more money. And for all intents and purposes, maybe they're going to still do that. But I just, especially with today's wrestling, you're going to lose hope every day, every week. And I want that to be the case because I want it to be something more important. I want it to be bigger. And if it turns out to where it works out, it's more special for Cody, great. But right now, I just don't see it. So, only time will tell. But yeah, right.
Unless they drag it out to next year's Mania, and he's got to put his career up or something. Yeah.
Can you make it that long in this day and age? I mean,
I don't know.
I mean, you can.
But that was the perfect way to end the show. I think the match is a 4.
Yeah, absolutely.
For all the extracurricular stuff, I'm giving it a 4.5.
Yeah, I agree. I actually gave it a 4 and a quarter, but I think I'm going to change it. I think you're right. Just even with the Gaga, it was so good. It was so needed to get there. I thought it was just beautifully done. It was very sports entertainment like, but it was done so well. If you're going to do it that way, that's how you got to do it.
Yes.
So yeah, the babies are thrown in the air. Everybody's happy. The Rock celebrating. Out comes Stone Cold in one last moment. He comes out to the glass breaks again, and he pulls out this big old truck. He pulls out the burn up DX Express.
Yeah.
And then has a beer with the Rock at the end to celebrate. Goes off air.
Their 1980s bus that Vince splurged for.
Yes. Yeah, what they said too is like a $250,000 bus.
Whatever.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That's the Lex Express repainted or something.
Right, probably.
Who knows?
Got more bang for their buck than the Lex Express did.
Yes, for sure. Literally. Yeah, man, what a good show, man. I think overall I'd give the show a 4 out of 5. Just overall.
Yeah.
I know I gave it lots of 2s and 2.5s and stuff like that, but man, I think just what a show. And that ending is just really just pushes everything over the edge. Like I said, it's one of the best shows of the year so far that I can remember. It's one of the best shows of the year just for that.
I think this, and I think probably Fully Loaded that year, where you had like a triple main event, and we might have to cover that one someday. It's really good.
Yeah.
But this for that main event and the feeling at the end of it, and then the whole Trish Stratus Bubba Ray Dudley thing. Everybody went home happy. There was just enough other stuff that didn't drag it down a bit.
Yes.
Arguably best show of the year.
Yeah, for sure. I would definitely put it up against something that as we do more of these, maybe we'll know for sure. But yeah, I right now I'd be inclined to agree with that for sure. So anyway, yeah. So next up, we haven't really decided 100% what we're doing. I think we're going to definitely do something old again. We want to stay in the same year.
Are we doing Saudi next?
We probably better do Saudi next because it's going to be it's right around the corner. So we'll do Saudi next, and then
I want to do something a little older. I want to do something a little older.
What I say we do maybe is we'll see how the Saudi show goes, and if it's good enough, we'll rate it and discuss it in length. If not, we'll do it kind of like we did Backlash today, and then we'll do an old show. Regardless, we'll do an old show at some point, but that's what we'll do. If the Saudi shows is kind of then we'll do kind of like we did today, and then do an old show. And I'd say maybe we can keep it in the same year, or I don't know. We'll figure it out. We'll let everybody know. But yeah, I really enjoyed this today. I think I hope everybody goes and checks out Backlash 2000 if you haven't in a long time, because see what you guys think about it out there, because it's, man, for me, it's
Tops
one
of
the
the era.
Sure it has to be.
This and
What's
WrestleMania 7. This and WrestleMania 17 tops of the entire era.
WrestleMania 17 was real good. One more note. Just give a shout out to the old Dave Meltzer. Oh, Uncle Dave here. So he actually rated that Intercontinental match a 3.75 out of 5.
Oh wow!
And he rated the Dean Malenko and Scotty 2 Hottie match a 4 out of 5.
Oh wow!
Three
stars. I don't know what to do with them.
Yeah. 3 stars for the Tag Team Championship match. 0 stars for Angle versus Big Show, and 2.75 stars for Guerrero versus Rios.
What do you give the main event?
It doesn't list that for some reason. I'll have to find it. Let me see what.
There's only been like 2 modern era WWE matches he's ever given 5 stars to, and I can't think what they are off the top of my head, but I know there's only 1 or 2.
Well, I tell you what, man, he's been throwing around so much crap here lately that I don't even know. Like, beforehand, I would be like, oh, okay, but now, like, I don't know. Like, I can't take someone seriously that loves AEW as much as him.
Yeah. 6.5 stars for Kenny Omega versus the Mexican Pirate dude. You know, I don't get
as
it.
long as it's got Kenny or the Young Bucks in it. So yeah, 3. So this is, I don't know that was from Wikipedia, but this says, oh my god. So the Big Show, Kurt Angle was a dud, so it's 0. 2.75 for Eddie and SA. 2 stars for the Dudleys versus TNA. 1.75 stars for the Hardcore Championship match. 1.75 stars for the Bull Buchanan and Boss Man versus the Acolytes. 4 stars for Malenko and Scotty 2 Hottie. 3 stars for D-Generation X versus Christian and Edge. And 3.75 stars for Benoit and Jericho, and 3.75 stars for Rock versus Triple H.
Oh wow.
So
craziness.
Even if we were a little bit generous on that main event, it's still at least a 4 or something. It's got
it's more than that.
Yeah, even with sports entertainment stuff in it, man, that was done so well that I can't even be mad at it. You know what I mean? Like, that's so good. That pop and that leading off stuff, all that stuff leading up to Austin coming out and helping, and then The Rock winning ultimately. Man, that's wildly good. Even if you, that's just crazy, man. Like, especially after such a bum WrestleMania that year.
Yeah.
But yeah. Anyway, we'll definitely have to do more of those. I'll scrounge up some ratings for the next show we do too, maybe. Let's compare. Yeah. That'll be good. So everybody out there, hope you guys enjoyed this. You can get all of our podcasts out in podcast land, pretty much wherever you get your podcast. Google, Pandora, pretty much all of them. iTunes. It's all there. Apple Podcasts. They're all. It's available everywhere. I'm not really good at the rigmarole, but yeah, we're out there for everybody. Wherever you listen to your podcast. Next time around will definitely be, I guess it depends on which order I put these out. I think this will go up pretty much immediately. I'd say if we can get Kenny in here, we will do Scream 2 and 3, because I've been saying that for a long time now. But we're gonna do some movie talk for sure as soon as we can get our third man. But like I said, with me and Andrew, we'll be doing some wrestling stuff because that's also what we want to talk about. and that's what we'll talk about. Saudi, the Saudi Night of Champions show, and then whatever else other old one we come up with at the time. So yeah, anyway, hope you guys all enjoyed this, and we will see you next time. Andrew, did you have anything else you wanted to add?
Nope. Go watch this show. It's really good.
Yeah, absolutely. Let us all know what you guys think too. You can find us on YouTube as well, and pretty much all our older shows on there at Macho Movie Madness. So be sure to let us know. And if you guys have any questions also, or anything you want us to talk about or want to ask us, feel free, man. Absolutely. Just let us know. Find our YouTube or anything, or my email, and just ask away. We'll answer it on the podcast. So, all right, we're out of here. We'll see you all next time.